a scone and a large house blend. Then a little conversation with my squirrel and chipmunk friends. I said I'm sick and tired of winter, and I wish that it was spring. Then a little fella named Robin Redbreast began to sing, and he sang, "Ooh, child, what'd you think a cold winter's gonna last forever? Ooh, child, now's the time for all the people to get together outside. Starts today. So bring your favorite lady, or at least your favorite lane. Water's not cold, baby, dip in your big toe. Maybe I'll see you in flagrante delicto. Grass below you, sky above. Celebrate spring with a crazy little thing called fucking outside." Thanked him for the information. I cried a little when he flew away. I watched an episode of The People's Court, and I tried to plan my day. I called up my old lady. She wasn't home, so I called my girl. I asked her if she'd like to join me as I entertain the world. And I said, "Ooh, child, I'll bring a blanket and I promise I will brush the ants off. Ooh, child, you're gonna like it when we're taking each other's pants off outside. Cause it's the first of me, outdoor fucking starts today. So bring your favorite lady, or at least your favorite lane. Water's not cold, baby, dip in your big toe. Maybe I'll see you in flagrante delicto. Grass below you, sky above. Celebrate spring with a crazy little thing called fucking outside." So we went to the park together. We were walking in the midday sun. We met all kinds of people and we fucked everyone. We fucked the lady who sells ice cream. We fucked a man with a tan sharp head. Everyone who needed fucking, well, they got fucked today. So come on, ooh, child, open your mind and your heart. Feel the spirit moving through you. Ooh, child, you feel the warmth of the love when I stick it to you outside. Cause it's the first of me, outdoor fucking starts today. So bring your favorite lady, or at least your favorite lane. Water's not cold, baby, dip in your big toe. Maybe I'll see you in flagrante delicto. Grass below you, sky above. Celebrate spring with a crazy little thing called fucking outside, fucking outside, fucking outside.
Hello everybody, my name is Notepad Anon and I write games for fun. So what are we doing today? Well, today is going to be the last day of Dying of Dryads Soliloquy. That is the goal anyway. Will it be successful? I have zero idea because it's me. But we are doing a Notepad Must Die, therefore it's go until it's done. And I kind of know what the plan is. Kind of know what needs to be done. It's just an act of doing it. One second, I need to. So, the big thing we're going to be working on today is going to be relationships, or more specifically, your bonds with other people, most notably the residents themselves. Now, was there any changes from last time before you ask? No, there wasn't. Yesterday was me working on the damn overarms video, which is published now, and you should watch it on YouTube right now, please. And I didn't really get a chance to look over things. I kind of got stuck doing stuff. So it's probably going to be something I'm going to have to do tonight, which is me going in there to just double check everything, clean things up. Overall, though, like, most of this is fine. It's a little bit wonky at some points, but everything should work as I need them to. The one thing I'm a little bit worried about is how these actually work in regards to the reduction of fatigue, mostly because it's fatigue for people in control is going to hemorrhage faster than those out of control, and I'm scared defense builds are going to be more important than anything. So I'm like, okay, what's the best way of actually kind of approaching this? I'm hoping things like Ravage and where was it? And things like where is it? Like, there are options that allow me to actually that like there. You can kind of increase the amount of fatigue damage you're doing, but it's not really guaranteed, and you take a little bit more guaranteed damage if you're not. It's a little bit messy in that regard, so it's an act of kind of going back and forth. I don't know how I want to do that yet. I need to just run a combat. The power bottom build, yes. Yeah, pretty much. Endurance builds save lives. And it's that would be the optimal build, unfortunately. So it's kind of like, okay, how do we want to do this? But this was going to be a part of the game that I wanted to actually expand on, as you see right here, which is relationships. Because right now, relationships are, if you look right here, counter takes place. Relationships with characters change chance of improving or degrading. Scale of -3 to 3. That's literally it. This is every single thing with relationships. There isn't really anything else here. I wanted to expand that out a little bit because I can, and I think that's important. So, let's see. Relationship. So, every character. Actually, I'm going to increase the size to 200 just so I can see it a little bit better. I'm going to put you. Actually, nope. Notepad document. I don't need you right now. I'm here, and that's all that matters. Someone's pinging me. Who's pinging me? Why are you pinging me? Let's see. Every character, the one relationship with them, be it positive or negative. Actually, technically what I should be doing is replacing every instance of the word character with actor, because that is what it is. It's an actor. You are actors on a stage. Because again, I want to kind of emphasize that, Shakespearean quality to things. You're on a big ass stage, and the set is the garden, and the other actors are doing effectively Shakespearean. Again, this is Shakespearean hentai, so you may as well play up to it. So, encounters with various members of the garden shall always be something of import. No individual being with no resident being secondary to the wanderer's plight. A noble soul will be seen again and again throughout the wanderer's story, unless they are killed. Unless they are I don't want to use the term killed. Unless their soul is fully, if I can actually fucking spell, soul is fully devoured, or simply be consumed by the very garden. Unless their soul is actually noble soul will be seen again and again throughout this wanderer's story, unless their soul is fully devoured, by the wanderer or the garden. Because I want to emphasize of you and your welcome to. I have too much Ragura artwork in this, and I really like Ragura artwork because Nakamura Ragura is a really damn good artist, and they do some good shit. Notepad approved. And literally, this is the thing. When I do the detox on this video, it's literally just going to be me in the corner. It's just going to be posting numbers. And those in the know are going to know where those numbers go. Those not in the know aren't. And it's going to be great. I do this in the near automata. This is Regura, I think it's Nakamata Regura. It's Nakamata Regura, I believe. Where are you? Nakamura Regura. Okay, give me 1 second. Gotta double check something. Let's see if can I actually show these this artwork. Do you have anything that you shouldn't have? You shouldn't have here immediately. Let's scroll down a little bit. No, little bit etchy. Nothing too bad. This is things like Regura's artwork. He likes bugs. He likes bug girls. That's his jam. This is Mashiro, and he's got a few other ones. I use this one quite a bit. Regura's artwork and a lot of Regura's stuff I actually use for kind of how I wanted the residents to be like, with the idea that they are pretty. There's something that you want, but they're also very uncomfortable. Like, they are something that you look at and you're like, that isn't quite right. Like, there's something off about them, outside the wings and the fact they are bug people. But you could say that I was heavily influenced, and I did my homework on with Regura. Don't worry, I did do my homework. Wink. Every time an encounter takes place, relationship with the actors. Actually, I should say the wanderer and the resident has a chance of improving or degrading. Okay, this is where things get a little bit wonky. Each relationship is guided by a... Fuck, how do I want to do this? One of the main things, what I want to get across, is that relationships are complex. It starts simple, but it quickly escalates into something that isn't simple. Hello, phone. Oh, no, that's, Layers of White. That's a different artist. Layers of White is its own piece of quality. I enjoy Layers of White for its own reasons. That's like it. I can't. They have a screen name. It's like Soda Bip or something. It's weird. I have an extensive knowledge of that because of one person. His name is Shock and Awful. Has like a terabyte worth of Mashiro images, which is the main girl from Layers of White. That is like his Jammerino. He does like his moth girls. Regura, this is Regura's thing mostly. His Bug Girl series, which is good in its own right. So, let's see. This is the idea. Again, relationships are complex. So, pretty much one of the big things is that you're going to have your meeting, and that's going to kind of set the tone, set the tone of the relationship. But then things are going to change based on what occurs. Let's see. Okay, actually, each relationship is defined by a series of emotions. My series of actually. I can see what I want. I think that's the worst part about this, is that I know what I want. So I want to give relationships a little bit more weight to it. Because right now it's things like this. Like, this technically doesn't do anything. Like, this is... Okay, actually, each relationship is defined by a series of emotional ticks? No, that's not right. Emotional... What would be a good way of saying this? Is pretty much what it wants to be is that that you are building this relationship up if you want it to be. So it's you starting off with one thing, and then by the end of the game, by the end of your story, it's going to be like savior, X, this, that. Fuck me. I want to keep it simple. I had a brilliant idea and it's just gone now. God, I always hate when this happens. Um, wow, fiasco. I'm astounded. The Druid's Handbook. Oh lord. Okay, yeah, it's Smallville, the role-playing game. One Ring, Dungeon World. Oh, yeah. Hmm. Maybe I'm looking at this from a different, looking at it from a different angle again. We want to do the theatrical narrative conventions. We're going to do theatrical narrative. Because we're going to be dealing with a single person, we want to keep the theatrical. Okay. Each relationship is defined by a series of bonds, which can be ranked from my series of bonds and... Actually, no. It's defined by a series of bonds, which reflect the intensity of the relationship the wanderer and resident possess. Whether positive bonds, actually, every encounter with a resident will forge a bond. Will forge a bond. Forge a bond with them. Either positive or negative. Depending on the situation and characters involved. Actors. Actually, we want to do... Then we're going to have to put in... Zero bonds, neutral relationship. Like a... How would you describe a neutral relationship? Just neutral relationship? Yeah, okay. Neutral relationship. Neutral. The wanderer and the resident. Wanderer and the resident have just met. And then we have to do 1 to, it would be 1 to 2 bonds, which is understanding, which would be the wanderer and resident. Have reached no, actually know of one another enough to the wanderer and resident have knowledge of one another, with the idea being, like, if you're looking at this, like, 1 to 2 bonds is, I know you, you know me, we know each other's names, and we address each other by kind of first names. It's not, oh, it's you missed this. No, it's like, hello, Julie. Hello, Nekataros. How do you do? It's kind of that idea of, like, we know each other at this point, and that knowledge of one another is something that is truly impactful. What we should do is 1 bond. To 2 bonds. And actually, we want to do Italian numerology. Come on, Italian numerology. What is an important number? It would be 7, probably. Probably it would be 7. So yeah, so we need to go from effectively 0 to 7 bonds. So 2. Actually, no. If we're gonna do that, 1 to 2 bonds is understanding. You know of one another. 3 to 4 bonds are intimacy. Actually, deep relationship. Wanderer and the resident know deeply of one another, and their plights. Then we have 5 to 6 bonds, which is going to be intimacy. Actually, an intimacy wouldn't be the correct term. What would be, like, this is an intense relationship at this point, whether you guys just despise one another. Actually, forms a the wanderer and the resident. I don't want this tense relationship. Let's see. The wanderer and the resident are nearly inseparable. Then we have 7 bonds, which is going to be an apex, which is going to be bound. A bound relationship. The wanderer and the resident are bound together through thick or thin. So, all right, okay. Here's what we can do now. Because we have bonds, how we're going to be doing it is that you're going to be able to form a bond with somebody. And a bond is either going to be positive, negative, or, yeah, it's pretty much going to be a positive or negative bond with someone. And that's just something that you have a moment with them. Well, the most obvious one is, plus we banged. It's a pretty obvious one, but you can have deeper bonds. You can form 2, 3 bonds a encounter I would say I would say 2 bonds and encounter if you play your cards right, which is more along the lines of we are in this together. Like, I understand you, you understand me a little bit more, and it's kind of that bizarre relationship with one another. So, bound relationship. I can change the names on these. Okay. Positive bonds are experiences which positive bonds are experiences which solidify a positive opinion of the resident, while negative bonds are painful reminders of their inhumanity, painful reminders of who they are. A wander may okay. If actors have more positive than negative bonds, they're actually no. Wander. If a resident has 3+ positive bonds with a wander, they have a deep affection. Actually, if a resident has more positive than negative bonds with a wander. Actually, no. Resident has 4, I would say, well, that would be 5+ bonds with a wander. They will determine their own. Fuck. I'm gonna word this. Fuck me. Because, like, this really doesn't do anything, and I don't want to just be like, here, you get bonus as this, but it's hard to kind of... Okay. Unless we just say, fuck it. Because that would make, if you're going to say form 2 bonds and encounter. 2 bonds every encounter, that means you're going to have about 3-4 encounters with someone to really kind of solidify them. But can you lose bonds? Yes. Okay, let's say each bond is assigned. No. Scheiße. Fucking hell. God son of a bitch. There's an answer here, and I can't find the fucking answer. I want to get this section done, because right now, like, you have things like up here, which, if we go like this, which is... Hey, if you have positive relationship, there's 3 chances, neutral 2, negative 1. That's pretty much the extent of what the relationship mechanic does. But I feel like there has to be a little bit more there, because right now it's not worth it. Then you also have things like, oh, you could only... Oh, it has to be this, because that's what a tetraphile does. Or this is what this is what this. It's like... Ah! Unless there's bonds, intensive relationship. Encounter the resident will forge a bond with them, either positive or negative, depending on the situation and the actor. If we do something like this, and then when a wanderer has forged 5, actually we'll do 7 bonds. So when a forger has forged 7 bonds with a wanderer, okay, let's see. When a wanderer has forged 7 bonds with a resident. All right, wanderers forged 7 bonds with a resident. They are considered to be bound. Wander at the end of their travels. Their travels may bring the resident out with them. Out with them if they so desire. If the residents, I know what we can do. Residents are extreme individuals. Even a positive bonds, extreme individuals, positive and negative bonds reflecting this. Positive, each bond forged will have the resident act in a more extreme manner. Let's see. Each bond forged will have the resident act in a more extreme manner, allowing them to will have a resident act in a more extreme manner. Gaining, we should say is gaining more, becoming more obsessed with the wanderer. Positive bonds indicate love with the most extreme varieties being almost suffocating as they lean on the wanderer, and they lean on the wanderer for their lack of a soul. Negative bonds indicate burning hatred. Having the resident go out of their way. To hinder, harm, or generally torment the wanderer. And one thing I'm going to have to put every time an encounter takes place, pretty much the more bonds you're forging, the better you're going to be having. Otherwise known as, pretty much, it's going to be easier to form future bonds because they're just becoming more obsessed with you because that's how you operate. However, so let's see, we want to do the wanderer being a chaotic entity in this stagnant world. Has the option to increase or decrease. Has the option to being a chaotic entity in the stagnant world gains a bond when they have an encounter with a resident. If they are victorious, they may choose to forge an additional bond. They choose to spare. They choose to spare, or what am I calling it? A spare. To actually take a small part of the resident's soul. Actually, forge an additional bond if they choose to depart. Let's see. They may choose to forge an additional bond if they choose to depart from the resident after injuring them. After their defeat. If a resident were to overcome them, they will automatically forge a bond with the wanderer, increasing the intensifying their relationship. Positive bonds. Actually, I should say, when the wanderer encounters. Let's see. When the wanderer encounters the resident again, they can use their bonds to assist them in the encounter. And then we want to do positive bond. Pause it to positive bonds. Can be actually no. System in the encounter. A bond can only be used once. Can only be used once per encounter. So, and actually went to a footnote. If Dictario, if a wanderer has two positive and a negative bond with a resident, they can use two positive and a negative only. Let's see, if a wanderer has two positive and negative bond, they cannot use they cannot use a third positive bond or a second negative bond. Which I have to spell that out because that's always one of those things like, oh, well, yeah, I can just do them whenever I want to. No, it's like you can use it. A bond can only be used once per encounter. You have two bonds, a negative bond, you can't use like a third positive bond or a second negative bond. So, a positive bond, this is going to be for you. No, this is going to be for them, which is going to be roll an emotional die. The resident by that reduces their fatigue by that amount. Actually, I should say is use an emotional die. Pretty much, if you have positive bonds, that pretty much allows you to say, I'm going to roll, let's say, like a d10. Here, I'm going to grab my d10. I'm going to be like, I have a d10, I'm going to use this d10, and I'm going to reduce your fatigue by 10. Why? Because I like you, and you like me, and currently we're doing terrible, terrible things to one another. And it's using that kind of positive relationship, those passions you have behind things. It's directly against them, however. That's the idea. But it can also, you're just using it, so if you don't really get that many emotional die, well, that's not very good. Actually, no. Positive, actually, we'll say positive bonds, which we will do. We'll add in So we can say is gain a D. We'll say D8 because that'd be D4, D6, D8, D10. Yeah, gain a D8 emotional die. What would be some other one? Oh, gain +1 chances at foreplay. Pretty much a burning bonds to do that. And then our final one is going to be, well, actually no, the negative bonds, which are going to be selfish, because it's you saying fuck you and the horse you rode in on, and then use an emotional die. The Wanderer increases their fatigue by that amount. It's you saying fuck you and the horse you rode in on. Let's see, because we want it to be a little bit more negative. We want it to be a little bit more aggressive. Choose a dedicated emotional die to a tick. Treat it as if it rolled max. Ignore the effects of a resident's maneuver. There we go. It's you being an asshole to somebody you're sleeping with, because guess what? You can do that. Technically, I should be doing this. Come on, Control-Shift-8. Positive bonds will do that. And then our negative bonds will do that. Because now we have... Because now we've established mechanical footholds with that. Because now you have you have a carrot to the stick, effectively. You want to gain these because then you can use them. A bond can only be used once per encounter. This also helps things later on, so you can go a little bit faster, which is just saying, I'm going to be using this. You're gaining emotional die, chances of foreplay. And our final thing is... So what we want to do is at the... Actually, the resident's obsession. The resident's obsession with the Wanderer increases as well. Allowing them to use more of their repertoire against the Wanderer. As well as being increasing their own options and being more aggressive. Should the Wanderer reach 7 bonds with a resident, or 7 bonds with a resident, they can be brought out of the garden. Bonds with a resident of any type, of any type, they can be brought out of the garden as they have had the Wanderer's soul rubbed off on them, as they have had a spark of the Wanderer's soul embedded into them. But you don't have to bring them out. That's the key thing. Can be brought out of the garden as if they have spark of the Wanderer's soul embedded into them. They don't have to be. However, only one resident may escape the tendrils of garden. And I should also say the wanderers bond with their dryad. Dryad will naturally increase by one every time they encounter them. They encounter them in the garden. Once it reaches seven, the wanderer has found them. And finally has a chance to leave. And this also brings me to a side note I'm going to have to put in here, which is, can you break bonds? Which is going to be side note, breaking bonds. Breaking a bond with a resident is a painful experience. It's a painful experience for both the wanderer and the resident as it's severing a smaller part of the influence the wanderer has over them. A wanderer can willingly break a bond with a resident if they expend one soul. Actually, if they burn one soul. Actually, I have to double check with it, because what I want to do is the term burn soul is going to be, reduce max soul. And then, like, expend soul, which is going to be reduce current soul. So, for example, if I have, like, 7 out of 7 soul here, this would be me going down to 6 of 6 soul. Well, here, if I have 7 of 7, this would be me going down to 6 of 7. You don't want to break a bond, but sometimes you may need to, especially when it comes down to, like, how I'm going to word it down below, which is the idea that, like, when I say they're becoming more obsessed with you, I'm not lying. They're growing far, far more obsessed. And they're going to get real weird real fast, especially because they're immortal god things that don't really obey common ideas. So, vagrant souls, mindless beings make up the majority, cannot be interacted with in any way. So what I'm going to say is, vagrant souls can be interacted with, but actually, vagrant souls can be interacted with if the wanderer chooses disrupting their routine for a moment. Vagrant soul, if I can actually fucking spell, vagrant souls are not disturbed and do not recognize it, noble souls. Though the noble souls do hunt them for the quote currency of their lesser souls. Lesser souls, nobles frequently consume lesser souls to feel a fragment of what they've lost. Related to the vagrant itself. There we go. So pretty much the idea is that you, as a wanderer, you can interact with them. Nobody else can. You can go up to, like, it's kind of that idea of like, oh no, there's a deer creature. You can walk up to the deer and pet it, and it's going to be like, or it might show you the way because it understands that you're something different. You're disrupting the routine. It isn't, however, going to even register. That's not even going to kind of comprehend another individual, another resident of the garden, because it doesn't really want to recognize it. Why bother? We've done this before. This isn't something important. Why do we recognize something that we've seen a million times? Let's see. If Wanderer wishes to harvest their vagrant souls, then a simple skill check is often all is required to deal with the threat. Aggravating, as long as it's in its purview to do such. I should put this in there. I'm going to put it in here. I shouldn't put it in here, but I will put it in here. Let's see. If a wanderer were to, quote, engage with a vagrant soul, consult the following. Which is going to be yeah, if you're a fucking weirdo, yeah, you can do it. You know, I'll just have to if you were to if I was running this game for someone and they're like, this is something I want to do right now, they're gonna get the special album cover and they're gonna look at me like, why do you have this? And then I'm gonna be like, haha, you suck, go away. So goblins are a common fact of life. Of course, goblins. So goblins. Okay. You know what? I think I'm gonna give goblins their own page because I want to add some stuff for them. And means you're going to go down right here. So, goblins. Goblins! Goblins are common facts among gardens. Small mischievous creatures contrast beauty's place with small hideous forms. By their nature, possess no soul. They do not possess... But they... No soul, but they do possess a delirious greed, becoming a life for the commerce in the garden. Sold off to anyone with souls in exchange. Trading away most valuable. Everything is priced and everything can be sold. Goblins congregate. Goblins congregate in cracks. In the garden. Actually, what would be a good term? So we want to do garden fixtures. Actually, enclave? Enclave in a garden. Actually, parts of a hedge maze. So we took these, being the end, walk backwards to the start. So actually, I'm going with 39 hydraulic sculpture group tables. Would that be the correct term? Would that be the correct term? Would be an enclave in yeah. No. I'll use the term crack. Yeah, okay. Congregating cracks in the gardens. Congregating cracks in the gardenscape. Small little areas off the beaten path. Beaten path that even noble souls dare not tread. Dare not tread. These locations are forgotten and quiet, overgrown and rotten. Goblin towns find purchase. Towns find themselves secluded and able. Goblin towns are roving roving caravans that move with that pawn off goods in the garden, in the mortal world. In the garden and the mortal world. Roving caravans that pawn off goods in the garden and the mortal world. Allow it. These towns are often packed up as soon as they are set down by mighty and foolish, actually, and mighty brutish hobgoblins who are larger than their cousins, but do not possess the same malicious greed. Goblin towns anything can be found in a goblin town, but anything can be found in a goblin town, but nothing what the wanderer needs, only what they desire. Goblins are never the same, and rarely can rapport be built with them. I should actually see. Wanderers seeking an encounter, seeking to engage with goblins are. Actually, no, I'm not even. Goblins don't fuck. This is not Goblin Slayer goblins. They just don't. They don't give a shit. Why would they? They have no soul. They don't plan on having a soul either. They just want to buy and sell shit. Okay, there we go. Because this kind of gives the idea the goblins they're going to sell you things that you really want, but never anything you need. Which is this like, man, I need a way to impress this person, being like, well, I can sell you this item, which is going to definitely do something that might impress them, but I don't know what it is. Like, these are the guys who are going to sell you a puzzle box with the intent to be like, don't worry, if you solve the puzzle, there might be something in it. Then we have Delirious Wanderers. Can be brought out. So, akin to the wanderers themselves, the delirious wanderer is an individual in the brink of madness. Their soul has been tripped away on their single-minded quest to find their Dryad. Often they will speak of residents that the Wanderer has never seen. And locations which don't work, which aren't present. So, which aren't present. Let's see. So often they will speak of residents that the Wanderer has never seen or locations which aren't present. Though many delirious wanderers understand, though by which are present, some even may even have strange names, customs, or appearances that all can understand, but each speaks the same tongue, even if they don't know why. I pretty much want the idea of that a delirious wanderer is someone that you've pretty much crossed a Venn diagram of your gardens. Because this is your personal hell, this is their personal hell. You've kind of come to a point where, like, you can sit down and being like, well, hey, you're another person like me. Do you want, like, let's talk, you're someone who actually is another human. But it's kind of the idea of, like, Nectarios, a young Greek, an ancient Greek, from, I'd probably say he was from Athens or around the Athenian area. But he would be able to talk with someone like Sir Gros Petard, a fat bastard from France in circa about 1300. That idea of, like, we've come across one another, we can discuss it, but then we're quickly going to leave. Just meet you as soon as, like, let's see, the average wanderer, to the average wanderer. However, their time in the garden has broken them, become a shell of what they were. Encounters with them are sparse but welcome. Another human face, another face into the same travel as you are. As the wanderer is. However, the delirious wanderers only be found around cracks in the garden, similar to goblin towns. And similar to goblin towns, they may be able to assist. They may be able to provide assistance or equipment. Actually, they may be able to provide assistance or equipment, but as soon as they are out by sight, they may be whisked away. However, these delirious wanderers cannot be brought out. They must find their own way out, or succumb to the garden's however, delirious wanderers cannot have bonds forged with them, or be brought out. They must find their own path, or succumb trying. There we go. Styles 2 to 3. One technique mostly. assets remaining. Most have been in the garden. In the garden longer than they can remember. So they may even have some useful concepts or tricks to help the wanderer along. And I believe this particular painting was, I think the idea is that he's higher than a fucking kite right now. I think it was like a medical patient or something. Like he's just fucking blasted on fucking coke or something. Because remember, kids, back in the day, doing a shit ton of cocaine or heroin was totally a medical procedure. So I am going to do this. I'm going to cut this. They have so noble souls. Residents who reside among the garden are de facto royalty. Are the noble souls, the facade prompting the relationships and problems to arise. Noble souls form cast of actors. Actors the wanderer will encounter. Noble souls referred to as such partially stroke their own ego and partially note their power. The power the garden has granted them in exchange for their soul. Actually, I should say their true soul. These residents may appear human. In looks, but various body parts may find themselves edited, terrifying to witness. Horns, tails, body parts find themselves haphazardly placed in the too perfect body they desire. And let's see, what do I want to put down here? I want to put down the idea that noble souls still retain vestiges of who they were, and of who they were. And the astute wanderer may even find various parts, and the astute wanderer may find aspects of the resident scattered about to symbolize who they may have been in a previous life. However, who they are now has been warped by the devouring of souls and their own lack of one. Noble souls possess as well as vagrant souls for trading use. In encounter, they will grant the was. Should they be they will grow more obsessed with the wanderer, both to reclaim their souls, as well as experience the rush of being with the chaotic one. There we go. A honey. In short, they honey. Oh gosh. Oh lord. Okay, we want to do that. Let's see. Shit. Actually, noble souls possess artifacts as well as vagrant souls for trade. This would be lesser souls. Trade in use. Should they be defeated in an encounter, in a capital E encounter, they will grow more obsessed with the wanderer. So, example, the Lady of Hearts. Noble soul. She's got 4 horny. soul, I should say, put in here is the a resident soul fluctuates depending on if they have feasted, often requiring time or effort to restore their power to full. So the idea is, if you haven't quite got that yet, is catch them while they're weak. And then you can overcome them, and haha, you've won. You've defeated the bad guy. Except they may not be a bad person. They literally might just be misunderstood. Or fucking insane. An example, Noble Soul. 44, genital ears, chest, and lips are sensitive. She's got... she has 4 soul, so that would make sure she has 20 fatigue. She's a lust pool of 12. I want to bump their horny up to 4. And then that means you're going to get 5. You're going to get quite a bit. But you're broken, so that's on purpose. Unless I want to change the nature of that, that might be not a terrible idea. If I want to do this, and then we have to do fatigue. Fatigue is HNY. That's just going... No. And then fatigue is soul. It's soul times 5. No, it would be soul times 3. Soul times 4. So if you have soul 8, for example, you have soul 8, that means you would have 4 times 8, you would have 32 fatigue, which is pretty big, because that max with you, the Wanderer, you're going to have, if you're times 5, to get that much, you need to have 6 soul. But the idea being that you are the protagonist, so you kind of have a little bit more leeway than the residents themselves. Okay, that's fine. And you're being chipped away at. That's the core idea. So your soul, that they can't have quite a bit of soul if they really want to. Kind of bully you down. I mean, no, I think we're just going to keep fatigue the same. I think we're just going to keep it 5 across the board. Let's see. Residents, goddamn residents, I gotta capitalize all the residents of the garden whose inhumanity only increases their desire to suckle the soul of the wanderer, chaos they bring. Look at something larger than life, exemplify what they are to the highest degree possible. Not nightly broken, maybe shining plate armor with a golden sword, but inside is a combination of vines and dead leaves. Other broken still cling to relatively normal forms. Animalistic and human nature show themselves regularly. When encountering a broken soul, it should be monstrous, horrifying, but still alluring to those willing to give them a chance. Two-headed beasts of men and creatures with translucent fairy wings, slithering tail, half man, half snake. Woman, half snake. Actually, no, half man, half snake. Beings that both wish to consume the body of the wanderers, much as they wish to devour their soul. Capital S. Souls aren't common. When they do appear, they should be memorable and terrifying moments. It'd be memorable if so. They've got that. They have less soul. And what I'm going to do is each soul, due to the animalistic nature of the broken, count for 6 fatigue. Actually, no, we want to bump that up. Count for 7 fatigue. They are truly monstrous to overcome. But fluctuate rapidly should they be defeated. And then their lust pool is going to be that. They have a pretty good lust pool. Broken souls possess a garden artifact, and anything else they might value. Once defeated, their already broken mind form will not surrender their value essence to the soul. Okay. When defeated, the Wanderer can only devour or spare the broken. Even carving a small part off their soul is their remaining broken broken synonym. Come on, give me a good synonym here. The remaining fragmented soul is a major detriment. Is a major loss for them. Broken souls, if they emerge victorious, may harm the wanderer. Wanderer more than just taking a small fragment of their power, of their burning soul. Pretty much, if you fuck up fighting these, like, if you lose against, like, these guys are high risk. Like, if you go against one of them, like, you gotta be good. You gotta know what you're doing, because they're going to break you in half, probably more ways than one. These are the guys who, if you kind of go down, you're going to wake up, except you can't feel your arm anymore because one of them snapped it in half when you were unconscious. They are not fun. They are not people you want to screw with. Okay, so I'm going to add in an example broken soul, though. So, an example broken soul. And we want to do, he who walks with knives. The knife walker. Broken. He is going to have a horny of 7. He's going to have a horny 7. However, his big thing is, if we go up here to all of the parts, is that it's going to be his arms, his chest, not that, his gut, hands, head. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, lips and neck. He's incredibly sensitive. However, the issue is that he is also incredibly sensitive, and that means he's going to probably try to kill you. Most one 7, and that means he's got 35. And his style, he is a Bargist. Let's see, they've got 5. He's going to be Bargist 3 plus Minotaur 1. Like, that's all he does. He just wants to break you in fucking half. Because he is a creepy monster man. Let's see. The Knife Walker. The Knife Walker has two horns protruding proudly from his brow. His brow as thick. Two horns proudly protruding from his brow, as if a symbol of who he is. While wearing a cloak made of daggers and swords, he rarely leaves his mons. He literally leaves his mons to show them off. Those who gaze upon him, and his mask, quickly realize that he is a hideous creature. Scarred and mangled, as if his face had been has been skinned. The Knife Walker keeps to himself. There we go. Now, contrasting the Lady of Hearts, he is a lot more dangerous, but they have the same fatigue, because again, you're supposed to beat them eventually, but the idea being that she's pretty safe to fight. Like, she's pretty good to go against. However, the stronger she gets, the more things are going to go wrong with her. Actually, I should adding things, so aphrodisiac. The Wanderer has negative bonds. Has negative bonds in stamina when engaging with the Lady of Hearts. Cutting edge. The Wanderer loses negative bonds in fatigue. Loses X bonds and fatigue every tick they are not in control. There we go. The idea is being that the Knife Walker wants to. If you are in control of him, he's not that scary. The problem is it's getting to that, and that's exactly all he wants to do. Is he wants to seize control, and he wants to break you in half because he is a sad, miserable man. He doesn't really want to be exposed because it's very easy to get the advantage on him because he's very open here. However, he's also a kind of person who is not very comfortable to be around. So, advancement, as the journey of the Wanderer continues, masses souls on their enemies and their loved ones. Souls are the manifestations of individual self-actualization. Those Wanderer improve their physical, mental, and social skills and attributes, gradually more in tune to the world around them. 25 vagrant souls equals 1 greater soul, which are also broken souls, noble souls. Greater souls can be acquired by having a deep relationship Actually, so here's what we can do. Greater Soul. Greater Soul can be acquired after an encounter. Encounter with a resident, gaining 1 plus number of bonds with the resident. That can be acquired after an encounter with a resident, gaining 1 plus number of bonds with the resident in Greater Souls, allowing deeper relationships, sharing a small part of themselves is as important as growing their own strength. Greater Souls, actually, whether they victorious or not. So there we go. That's kind of the idea, be like, by virtue of actually with number of current bonds with the resident and Greater Souls. There we go. So you're encouraged to actually engage with people more consistently. I'm actually just going to do number of current bonds with resident. So if you have 5, for example, pretty intense, you can actually get some things pretty consistently. It's just the idea of getting those, which are the hard part. And goblins, of course, sell Greater Souls. 5, I need to increase to 6. I need 6 Greater Souls. Cool. I don't need you. Okay, our final bit. Every journey has an end. Escaping the garden with a loved one in tow, leaving alone but improved, or succumbing to the disastrous fate when approaching the end. Truly seeking. The Dryad may not be a simple creature to find, but a piece of themselves they felt was missing. But they will have to find. With that, they will find. Okay, so I'm feeling pretty good there. I am going to add in a note somewhere and do that actually after this. Ties that binds. Okay. This is literally the only place that I can put this. Actually, is that where's a good place to actually put this damn section? Encounters of a salacious variety. Okay, no, we do encounters of a salacious variety. And okay, I know what we can do. We can put this down here to fit everything there. And what we need to do, we can put that there. What we need to do is lead up and emotional turmoil. Emotional turmoil and tasks. Is that what we want to do? Okay. At the start of actually no. At the start of the act. At the start of the act. The wander is making their way to the encounter with the resident in question. A wanderer is encouraged as the garden master, presenting turmoil and tasks are essential to making sure the adventure to the resident is fraught with both danger and opportunity. Having the wanderer find evidence of the residents' hunting trips, discovering aspects about them, and even potentially learning about the residents' quirks may require checks and investigation. Having these having these moments of quiet and investigation and quiet and query awards the wander emotional die. The size of the the size of the die should be dictated by the garden master as the task begins. And should the task begins, actually I should say, is around D6 to D8 to D10 for the importance and risk. Task at hand, and the task begins. Should the wanderer emerge victorious, discovering it, overcoming obstacles, or finding hidden truths, they are rewarded the emotional die. Should they fail, not only do they suffer the consequences, the emotional die they desire is reduced down by 2 steps to a minimum of D4. So you're always getting something. That's one thing I want to get across, is that because emotional die are actually fairly important for a lot of moves and things, you're always going to get that. And I encourage you to do like maybe 4 or 5 of these, and reward less, like kind of get them. Actually, I should say is exceptional victories. Clever ideas, or astute observation may award additional emotional die to the wanderer. Be wary though. The brighter the wanderer shines, the more they will attract. Actually, no. Be wary though. The wanderer's soul can only maintain so much emotional weight. Pretty much, that last line is saying, don't forget, you can literally only have a certain number of dice equal to your soul. So don't be like, oh, well, you're going to be rewarded a bunch of dice. You're not. You're going to get like a very certain amount of dice with a certain amount of things to encounter. So we've got our emotional dice. Emotional die can be actually be used at any time during an encounter with a resident, even after the dice have been rolled. They also count as part of the LP should they be used. They also count as part of the LP should they be dedicated to parts of the encounter. There we go. Just need to put that little section in, which is to say, in short, if you dedicate an emotional die, let's say I have 2d6s here. If I have 2d6s here, and I put those in there, it's like I'm putting in 2 more dice. Which, dealing how some of the maneuvers are like, oh, you have to spend 4 dice to do this, you can trick your GM a little bit. If you're clever, you can trick your GM and kind of put 2 more in there. Like, aha, I've flummoxed you a little bit, thinking I was going to do one thing, but I've done another, but I'm using my dice. Breaking your dice, on the other hand, if you shatter those dice, you're going to get an effect. But they're important. And you might say, like, haha, I am a genius. I'm so smart and powerful. But you might have D4, so it's going to take you 4 rounds to actually make these dice worth anything. But maybe they're not going to pay off. Like, that's kind of the idea. Like, the GM can very much model how things go, but it's a game between the 2 of you, and that's what I wanted. I wanted it to be a game between you 2, and let's see, I'm going to probably have to put in a few images and fix some things up, but mostly I'm feeling pretty good about this. So let me put this right there. Probably overhaul. Actually, you know what? I can't do it. I can do this. Do I need boons? Yeah, I can just do that. So, oh god, can I cut one more thing? Can I cut one more thing? Yes, I can. I can cut these 3. There we go. Did I de-song us? So, overall, let's check our numbers here real fast. So, 12,800. Actually, give me 1 second. Let me just. So, words 12,885. If I go to Dying of Dryads, let's check our base version. And I am going to keep this version up, because this version is a little bit more consistent in some regards. It's a little bit tighter design, you can say, just due to how things look and how things operate. So someone might prefer this version over this quote improved version, but yeah, we added about 3,000. Actually, it'd be about 3,000 words ish. And looks like we added about 10 extra pages, which adds up. Let's see. Did we add more options? Like, overall, what did our goal do? So we added more options, yeah. We opened up combat slightly. I didn't really do that terribly well. I overhauled a lot of aspects of it. I decided against the emulator. Because, fuck making an emulator. Jesus fucking Christ. So, Dying of Dryads Soliloquy. What's Notepad's final thoughts on this game as we close out on it? I'm gonna put my legs up because my fucking knee hurts. I fell on my ass today, and oh god, my leg hurts like hell. So what are my final thoughts? Dying of Dryads was an odd game, kind of by default. I went into it with kind of a bizarre point of view. It was, can I do something like this? And I think updating the game to what it is now, to Soliloquy, was a good idea. I'm not going to say it wasn't. Am I saying I did everything I wanted to do with it? No. I think the issue was, and it's going to continue to be, Dying of Dryads Soliloquy, it's still having to use that base. And I could try my best to remove that base as much as I can, but it was so built into it. I didn't even realize how just ingrained I ended up making that be. And maybe that's just because of the mechanics, maybe just because... No, but this would require, while maintaining the same, it would require me to almost overhaul the entire system and change it. Which, I didn't want to do that. That wasn't the point of this. The point wasn't to change the entire game, necessarily. The goal was to improve it, is to do this and make it my own a little bit more. And I think I did do that. I think even things like adding the emotional die, adding in some more mechanics, adding in some more ideas, fixing up what was already there and making it a little bit smoother on myself. I think that was a good idea. Am I entirely confident in everything though? No, I think the hardest part when it comes to is like combat's still a little bit wonky, but that was one of the reasons why emotional die got put in, was to help mitigate some of the combat weirdness, because as Orange Chainsaw pointed out very early in the stream, power bottom builds are technically very valuable, are very good because they're allowed to defend a lot better. And currently we're at a point where playing defensive is the right option, which sounds really weird and doesn't sound right. Like I think the method I did with ticks may help just a bit, because it will allow pretty much you have like people on the defensive. You can kind of tell who's on the defensive now, and you can't just be, and then you and the GM can kind of play around you being defensive, or you can play around the GM being defensive with the how ticks work, and being defensive is kind of putting you on the back foot, kind of do that. So that's kind of that was my hope anyway, to make sure that works. I'm gonna have to do like a sample quote combat, I guess that you would call it. I think the only other major thing that, again, and I should do this, infinite time, infinite budget. Again, infinite time, infinite budget. I would love to do more, add in, like, I would like to actually get like legit like writers for this rather than my own kind of pretentious, like, just because it's a weird setting I made on accident, and I'm like, I want to expand this, but I really don't know how. Outside, again, it's this weird porn novel. Again, it's Shakespeare's hentai. It's like, fuck, okay, how do we do this? How do we make this actually something valuable and useful to the actual world? I think, given more time, probably, overhaul the maneuvers and like this like style system again. But that kind of folds back into my original point of, I could change everything, but it won't fix the core game at all. Like, the core game being Song of Swords inspired kind of hampers its own development. So that's kind of its own problem, and that's something like I would need to make a Dying of Dryads completely fucking different to do that, which at the end of the day, that's not what a Redux is. A Redux isn't about completely changing a game and rewriting it and writing a new one. No, this is about taking an old game that I already wrote and fixing it and making it better. And I think I did that, and that's all I can really ask for. So, oh god, ow. So, with Dying of Dryads Soliloquy wrapped up, so what's on the slate now? So if we go to things... Oof. Oof. So currently on our slate is Hell Jumpers, which I am still needing a name for. I did actually get the final payment for Guy, so Guy will be officially going up on the website here soon, and I can actually publish that to the greater masses. I will say, however... Ow, God, my... Ow. Owie leg, please. I don't really have a theme yet for Hell Jumpers. I know how I want to do it. I know what the goal is going to be for it. It's just the idea of doing it, which is going to be the hard part, which I have effectively tomorrow and Friday to reason out an idea, to reason out a concept of how to do this and having how do you have in a game about 3 to 4 people, 3 to 5 people versus an unstoppable horde of nightmares that want to kill them. I have some ideas, I have concepts, I have the 1 to 2 to 3s in my head, but the anchor to tie it all together I don't yet, which is I think going to be a major part of this. So I will consult with people, see what people are looking for. Maybe they have an idea. Maybe I'm not looking at the right places. But yeah. So thank you all. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Again, I will remind everybody that it this Saturday, and it would be 18, 19, 20. It would be November 20th. We are going to be going over a bunch of Wuxia RPGs, which I'm excited for. I've already gone over a few of them. Currently, all the Wuxia RPGs, the 2 Wuxia RPGs I've gone over kind of personally, they're pretty good. I'm actually kind of excited for this Saturday because it's going to be a positive stream for once and not me just ruthlessly shitting on things. So I'm excited. I actually get to enjoy things with people rather than just here's a bunch of garbage I found. Please God help me. So thank you all. Godspeed, good luck, and I will catch you all on Friday at a time. Just follow the links. You know how it goes. If you need me, you know where to find me. I am, as they say, away.